All right, everyone. It is Friday, and you know what that means? It is time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. I am one of your hosts, co-hosts, Damon Pistolka. That gentleman right over there is Kurt Anderson, and today we're going to be talking about manufacturing extension partnerships, and I think just the state of manufacturing in the United States with Carroll Thomas. It's going to be awesome. Kurt, take it away, my friend.
Man, dude, what I tell you, Carol really needs to reevaluate who she hangs out with, doesn't she? She
100%.
needs to be a much better judge of character, I think. So, what
100%.
an absolute honor! What a privilege! We were laughing so hard, like
Yeah.
we're starting a little bit late, but Carol Thomas, what a privilege to have you with us once again. You're a repeat offender on our little show. Thank you for coming back. How are you today?
Okay, and it's so good to see you guys. I mean, don't be the best kept secret is my motto, although I like to live in the shadows.
That's you. That's right. So, all right, we were just having tons of laughs. There's just super incredibly exciting things going on. And just
Yeah.
I want to give a little background. So I just, you're a friend of the show, been on many times, and just what a wild career you've had from I'm art gallery, QVC. You ended up your associate director of this SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, then ended up being the director of the MEPs, which we're going to talk about today. MEP being the Manufacturing Extension Partnerships. Carol, did you ever dream that that path of your career? Did you ever kind of see that path taking place?
Yeah, I didn't know. I know I was telling you, my dad asked me when I was little, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'm just like, alive, you never know. And you have to be open. You really have to be open to what's your purpose in life. And so it just so happened in going through the different things. I mean, I actually started out as a small manufacturer, very, very small, doing home decor, pictures in the homes, also in offices and that kind of thing. And I love putting things together. I love seeing things made. And I got that opportunity when I went to QVC and went to all 50 states. And I mean, you know, uh, I love this country because of all the different things we make. I mean, we make everything, and everybody loves and have a lot of pride in what they make. And so did I ever think that this would be my calling? No. I mean, I don't know. For me, a plant tour is a religious experience. So this should tell you, I am, you
I
see?
love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I agree with you
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I have seen corrugated cardboard made, street signs made, what do we call onion rings made, different types of devices used in medical division, jelly beans made, hats made, shoes made, boots made. I mean, everything you
Yeah.
could possibly imagine. And well, fascinating to me were the different machines that they had to make in order to make these things. And, the people who work in these factories and plants are so, really have a lot of pride in what they make and want everybody to buy it and have it. And I mean, it really is a wonderful experience to meet these people, to go visit the plant, to find out what problems they solve on a daily basis as they make things, their hopes and their dreams of what they'd like to see, ideas. Like I love when you go in and you talk to a business owner and they say, oh, here's what we make now, but here's what our thought is. I'll never forget, I went to Philadelphia and just outside of Philly and saw a corrugated uh, cardboard manufacturer. And his big idea was making cardboard boxes that, food could be shipped in, and it would have the properties so that, it would hold in any of the liquid. It would keep from getting bacteria. It could be shipped very easily and lighter than and better for the environment than plastic and stuff. I mean, it sounds like a little idea, but it was huge. And
Yeah.
once he got that box made, the material, I mean, it took off. He was just a corrugated cardboard maker and would make boxes any size you want. Very, very low tech kind of thing. But he got into technology by making this special corrugated cardboard that you could actually, it would ship and freeze or keep things cool all over the country. Again, really small story, but I got inspired by him and what he did, and all of the people that worked in his little corrugated cardboard plant in just outside of Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that
That's something.
it's just so wonderful how amazing. And I guess, for fear of like using that word, like, those boring industries, those boring products, we think corrugated, not
Yeah.
super exciting, but it was just like the passion and just the excitement of like, we made this, and just
Hmm.
the pride
Hmm.
that whole company takes, and just like
Hmm.
you just sharing that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
All right, so you just made me think of a question for you. I'm throwing a little curveball at you, Carol. How about
Okay,
this one?
no problem.
How about,
Let's do
okay,
it.
you had an incredible career at QVC, really, and early on, right? Like you were a pioneer at QVC, correct?
Yes. Oh, yes, yes. Early on, I had an idea, which is always like, if you like I Love Lucy, that's me. Lucy, like, what did you get into now? Uh, I had this idea that I was actually working at the National Gallery of Art, and I loved the shops and everything that's sold there. And I also loved all of the exhibits. And I said, well, what if we could work with QVC and show the exhibit and sell what's in the shops right on QVC.
Sure.
I went to QVC with that idea, and they offered me a job to be the new business development buyer. And this is looking for products all over the U.S., made in the U.S. that could, be sold. And eventually, I did get to my idea of the museum tour, and they did go to Brooklyn and Smithsonian and bunch of different things. But in taking on the quest for America's best, finding all these products, I was able to see everything that each state was known for, and also different types of things that had never I never knew that. Okay, in Colorado, there could be things that are made that would help with helicopters. You just don't know
Yeah.
where different hubs of manufacturing are. So I was able to learn a whole lot and see some very interesting things made, like a tongue scraper in Nebraska. And no, not just a tongue scraper, an electric tongue scraper in Nebraska. So
Who
you
knew?
would just put that little device up and it would clean your tongue. And I thought, oh my gosh, what kind of demonstration this is going to be? I don't know,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was cool, And then in Hawaii, colon blow. I'll never, ever, ever forget that. This guy, he had this, and we were like, oh, and it did sell. We actually did buy it, and it did sell, and it did work, by the way. I mean, I mean, I just, I don't want to go any more into that one, but um,
That's
you know,
great, though.
I know people have seen Ridex. It's this thing that you plug into your wall, and it has an electrical output so that roaches and mice and whatever will get out of your house. That thing in the late 1990s was such a huge hit. The owner who invented it, who was from Florida, made $25 million off of that one. I mean, that was his take. That wasn't, he sold 25 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
He actually took 25. So it in order for you to do that, it's probably like $125 million,
Yeah.
product. But again, I see all these different things. This lady from Massachusetts who made this. It's really, really, really simple. Two magnets that you put on one side of a glass, on another side of glass, and you can hang a reef on it. So if you have your glass door,
Yeah.
screen door in front of your regular door, you put this on both sides, and you can actually hang without, making any kind of plastic or anything on
Yeah.
your glass. Hang your reef right on the door. A huge, huge hit. A huge hit. I could tell you stories
Well,
about things that are made everywhere.
And it's just amazing all the little ideas like that. And I don't mean
Mhm.
to make them little, but little, just unique
Yeah,
in that, and the products that are every single day.
every day, and the people, you know, this one fellow from Maryland, he had this idea. He drove his poor wife crazy. He was going to be a success with that idea. I remember I put his product on. It was great. He actually, it was a machine that, it was hand done. It wasn't electric, and you take little slivers of soap, like, you get down to the very end, put it all in there, and heat it up a little bit, and then put it in the machine, and you'd make your a brand new soap bar, from that. And his wife said, "If you don't put his product on, I am putting him out." And I said, "But it's, but the support that your family has to, give. Again,
Yeah.
these are regular people. This isn't, people who are Einstein or anything like that. These are little ideas that came out, and he was able to be a success with that. So that was probably, one of those, a big reason why I really like manufacturing is because of the people that I was able to meet in doing it. It's
Oh,
wonderful.
It's
yeah.
just the wonderful relationships.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
my thought was, so before I side note, so you mentioned Lucy. Here's a funny thing. Before we went live, we were talking about the Bob Dylan Museum in Tulsa. We were talking about
mhm.
the Prince Museum in Minneapolis. Well,
Right.
guess what? Where I live is the Lucille Ball Museum is
Oh
where I
my
live.
goodness.
So now
Yeah.
you got to come visit me. I'm going to take you to the Lucy Museum, where we
Yes.
have a wonderful little comedy center. It's like the Comedy Hall of Fame right here. So you've got to. So that's another reason for you and I to hang out. How's that?
Oh
There
yeah,
you
and
go.
there'll be a live Lucy in there. Like,
Oh, they
what
have
do you
Lucy's like
get in again?
there's like yeah. So like when we have our comedy festival, there's like Lucy's everywhere. So
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
you and I will dress like Lucy. So anyway, that's
Okay.
another thing. So, but here's my QVC question for you.
Mhm.
As you share that passion for manufacturing, how cool would it be? As you were talking, I'm like, how cool would it be to have like a QVC channel for like manufacturers? Where
Yes.
like you're on site and like QVC is more like consumer products or makeup or whatever the widgets are. Like
Yeah.
how cool would it be to have like some type of a QVC channel, right,
Mhm.
24/7 showing
Mhm.
off our manufacturers. So anyway, as you were talking, that just I'm
No,
like,
that's a really good. It's one that I had thought about for suppliers. What
yeah,
if you're a metal stamper, a molder, and
Yeah.
you make things that maybe they're not the end product. They're the case that the lipstick goes in, or they're, the piece that goes into a filter. I think it would be, well, I don't know, and maybe it's me, but I think it would be cool.
I think it'd be, like, all right, Carol, we're going to start that idea too. How about like the
Okay.
ESPN of
Yes.
manufacturing, of like
Yes.
24/7 manufacturing,
Yes.
right? So
Yep.
instead of like
Yep.
just an hour here and there, you kind of like,
Yep.
there's like a made, how it's made. I think there's like a show
Yeah.
like that,
It
or,
was.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Food that built America. Like Damon, I know we love that
Oh, yeah.
channel, or like the
Oh
products,
gosh.
all those,
Yes.
we've had a number of those folks on. So, hey, Damon, we've got a
Yeah, we
comment
do. And it's
from
from
Tracy.
Tracy. Yeah. Tracy Toma. Thank you. I value MEPs for their practical on the ground support and their commitment to addressing the specific needs of local manufacturers. It's more than just strategic planning. It's about delivering customized solutions that truly align with the unique challenges faced by small and mid-sized manufacturers.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Thank you,
have
Tracy.
Thank
seen, yes, thank you very much, Tracy. You talk about unsung heroes,
Mhm.
or best kept secret. When I had my very small manufacturing establishment, there wasn't an MEP,
Mhm.
and there are so many things that I could use this service with. Logistics. Even just solving small problems in packaging, in production, especially in production, uh, getting your maximum amount of, or at least increasing your, return on investment, or finding, especially the equipment to make things. A
Mhm.
lot of times manufacturers will have, maybe they will grow out of a machine and go into
you.
something in a different way, and there isn't a, other than the MEP, because they see and they hear it, and they have connections with these different companies, they can then suggest to another company that's maybe starting out, try this CNC machine. It was used to make this, and this is your this is needed in your production. Try this lathe, or different kinds of things. That this is what the MEP does. I can tell you. I remember specifically, there was, I believe it was 2017, there were a number of hurricanes, and one that particularly hit Houston, Texas. And a manufacturer was sitting in their plant, the owner was sitting in the plant, and could see where all of his equipment had been flooded out from the hurricane. And an MEP person told the story, told us that he went in, asked the guy, "How are you doing?" And the guy said, "Well, look, all of my stuff is gone." He commiserated with him. He talked about it. They came up with a plan to what they could do after the hurricane, where he could get help from, where possibly he could get those machines either repaired or replaced or something. These are the kinds of things you never hear about. They're not even recorded in what NIST would ask for in terms of impact, but they have a major impact in keeping that manufacturer in business and going on. I think of the person as a business owner looking at their business like it's gone. But here you have someone who can come in and help them understand it's not looking good right now. However, let's think about what we're going to do in the future, and I will help you. You're not alone. You see, that is a something that is non-tangible that the MEP brings. You're not alone. We've seen this before. We know what you're going through. We can help you see behind the corner to get you to that next level of production efficiency that you need to have. And so, Tracy, your statement is, for me, it's an understatement for what truly the manufacturing extension partnership practitioners out there on a daily basis help companies with totally, sometimes it gets recognized, but most times it doesn't. And they don't do it for the recognition. They do it because they love manufacturers and they love manufacturing.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Man, drop the mic, Carol.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
gave me goosebumps on that one. So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
and we could dive deep. So again, so folks, if you're joining us, thank you for joining us. We're here with Carroll Thomas. We're talking about the manufacturing extension partnerships. So those are MEPs, whatever state that you're in. There's an MEP near you. Now, Carol, you happen to find yourself as the as you like to say, your name was on a door of this one particular office. What office were you in? I don't remember.
Um, that's funny, Kurt. Very, very funny. I came, and I'll explain to you how I came to the MEP. When I worked at QVC and talked with all these manufacturers who were trying to get their products on QVC, most of them did not understand pricing, and they just, they were manufacturers in the moment and used whatever wits they had and whatever kinds of information they could have. And I worked with one particular manufacturer in Hawaii who really wanted to get his product on. And I explained to him, it's, when you work with a major retailer like that, there's risks. And so he said, "Nope, I'm going forward." And he went, and I put his product on, and it didn't sell. And when it didn't sell, he told me, and he told me afterwards, that he had mortgaged his house and ended up losing his house. Well, about 8, 9 months later, I found out, not, of course, through his family or anything, that he took his life. And because that was it.
Yeah.
This was he put everything into this. I didn't really understand at that point, but I was in my very early 40s, and it was a point where I realized, okay, um, I am a great buyer. I can negotiate a great deal. but I am dealing with people. I am a person dealing with people, and I need to. I want to help them. I don't want to put them in a position that they feel like they, you know, they're all alone or they don't have any assistance. And so I took that to say, okay, who are you? And at that point, it was like 1999, 2000. I ended up working for a lot less salary, but a lot more rewarding at the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And I started at pretty much one of their very lowest position from being a business owner and from working as an executive, at QVC and at different. I said, nope, I need to understand because I think this is a really good program. I saw how it helped the manufacturers I was working with at QVC. And from the very first day, I started, what can I contribute? What from my experience would I know? And the years went on. I was plucked out of MEP to run the small business development centers at SBA. I got a senior management position to do that, and I really loved the SBA because now I got to work with all the small businesses across the country. Which, oh my goodness, I can't even begin to tell you that was amazing. But then I got plucked back to NIST and to the Manufacturing Extension Partnership as the director of the program. This is not something I ever, 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 ever. I mean, this is where I come into the office on the very first day, and even my very last day there. I looked at the sign on the door and it said Carroll Thomas, and I went, "Oh my God, they wow, I fooled them, or they didn't. I don't know anything about this. I mean, my experience with manufacturing is from my own business, from what I've done with other. I am not an expert. I definitely was not good in the government. I remember wondering how in the heck did I end on this side of it. I always shunned away from the government because I didn't like having to pay taxes, and all the other stuff, the handicaps that they put you through. But, you never know where you can make a difference. And on when I became the MEP director, I said the first thing I will do is make sure that all of these wonderful people who work for the MEP centers across the country do not run into a manufacturer with a hammer looking for a nail, that they listen to these business owners and help them and be there for them and show them the way to the future, and work together in doing that. And so, when I said, well, I guess that's pretty cool. And that's why I got to be in this position. But it still made me laugh from the very last day. I'm like, oh. And then I thought about my dad, who's no longer with us, and I said, "Yeah, well, I guess if he asked me now what I want to be when I grow up, I'm like, well, I guess I want to help manufacturers." Finally, I had my answer, but it took my entire lifetime to come up with that.
Wow, that's
That's
absolutely
awesome.
fantastic. So for our small manufacturers out there, they're just nose to the grindstone, just kind of like doing their thing. It's hard to like even get your head above the trench, if you will, right? They're just dodging everything coming at them.
Yeah.
What with your career, with your path at SBDC, manufacturer itself, what advice would you share with a small manufacturer as far as like, raising your hand, reaching out for help? What are your thoughts there?
Um, I'm probably the worst person to ask that to because I'm not really good at asking for help. I've
Mm,
always been resourceful, and that's why I'm so connected to these, people who work in manufacturing, and especially the manufacturing, the business owner. As a business owner, you are resourceful. You're not sitting there going, "Oh boy, I can't do this. Who's going to help me?" No, no, you figure it out. And my advice is one that I rarely took, but I give it to you. There is help. You can reach out. They do care. And if you can get to a manufacturing extension partnership person, they will listen. They will really listen, and they will, you know, not give you something like they gave everybody else. They will listen to your particular issue, your problems, what you need to know, and the help that you need. And if they don't have it, they will find an MEP person within the national network that will help you with your specific problem. And it is, uh, I see in the comment somebody, but compassion is rare. It is rare
Mhm.
because it is genuine. When you really are listening and empathetic, that's genuine compassion and something that uh, when you give out to the universe, it comes back to you. So I never ever, again, thought that I would lead these people who are so much more smarter, experienced than I, but what I could do is support them in to do what they do best, and I could learn from them. I learned so much about manufacturing from them and appreciate it so much more than when I was with QVC. That it is it is something that I wish more people would take the time to get to know, not just eat that snack, but understand what people did to get it so that each one is identically good and packaged in a way so that it's ready for you when you need it. Um, and even just a piece of it. Look at your laptop. There are so many different pieces to that laptop and so many different suppliers who help to bring that together. It is a collaboration, much like this country is and much like the world is. It is a collaboration of all of the smart and intellectual things that have come together to design the different parts of your computer, or whatever is you have. As I say, I have so many stories of manufacturers all over this country. A filter, an air filter manufacturer in, as they call it, LA, Lower Alabama,
Yep.
who is phenomenal.
Been there.
And he found that, guess what? Women working in his factory they did a better job than the men. So he had a factory going, and the, again, a filter. How many people look at a filter and wonder how it's made and see the work that goes into it? I saw a thing of beauty, and the people, all the people, and particularly the women who made them, made sure those filters were the best filters out there. You know, um, uh, again, so many different stories of how things are made, and the care. You don't see the care that goes to. I
Yes.
know there's a million things that are made exactly the same, but do you know how hard that is? So that the quality, so that there, isn't, to the best that they can, everything is perfectly made. It takes a lot. Advanced manufacturing helps quite a bit with sensors and different types of digitalization of the process, but it's an ingenuity. It still takes a lot of work to do it.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been to all 50 states, seen all sorts of manufacturers. You've been to LA, Lower Alabama, and what are there particular entrepreneurs, particular store, products that you were just like, man, I just can't believe that we're making this here.
Oh gosh. Well, in Vermont, I visited this. Um, uh, they make different kinds of medical devices with mold. Injection molding of different plastics, and I remember I had to get all with my little hat on when I went in, my little net
Yeah.
hat and everything. And they explained to me that one mold cost them $500,000 to purchase in order
Hmm.
to make this. So every time there was an update to make a product better, they had to update or get a whole new mold to do. I was shocked to see that end of the advanced manufacturing, and then another manufacturer in Vermont, they made the most beautiful wood furniture you have ever ever seen. I mean, he was an artist, but he would take, and his small factory in Burlington made, incredible tables, incredible chairs, and different kinds of things. So you had the gamut of very advanced manufacturing to that. In Lower Alabama, I saw the street signs. There's a company that makes about, I don't know, about 10 or 12 states street signs, stop signs, yield signs, everything. What struck me when I went into that plant was they actually uh, went from raw material. And so this is what they call a vertical manufacture, from raw material to the end product. And they would stamp, silk screen the whatever message the sign had to have. They had to take the raw material that they would melt down and then put into uh, uh, this machine and I'm not giving you the technical terms. I'm giving you what I saw. Okay, get it into fine thin sheets that then would be stamped into whatever, if it's a stop sign design, or a yield sign, or a highway sign kind of thing, and then go into the finishing of it. And what struck me was that when I had gone to the corrugated cardboard manufacturer, those types of machines that took and took the raw material, made it into paper, and then put the corrugation into the two sheets of the paper and come out, really resembled the machine that was used to take that raw material for the aluminum that was made into the base of the street sign. Very much the same. It sort of ran on um, um, a cycle, so that you didn't want to run out of the material. It had to keep going in order to make it. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I mean, a bike manufacturer up in Minnesota was able. Her husband making these beautiful bikes. They had all these suppliers put it together. They would actually make the finished product. He dropped dead one day, and she had to take over. And she didn't think she was going to make it, and was able, with the help of the MEP in Minnesota, to step right in and keep going, with it. I mean, like I said, it's just, and these, I never forget these people. Some of them still send me Christmas cards and stuff when I'm there, because as I say, it is a religious experience. It is phenomenal what they do and everything that they do, and all the I'll say it this way, all the government regulations that they have to get through, to make stuff. And like, okay, stand on this one leg, wish your hand behind your head, and oh yeah, I got it. Well, we'll do that. Whatever you say, we'll do that. We'll get it going. Occasionally, it's like, okay, we can't do that. Can you help us out a little bit? And that's another thing that the MEP did: advocate for the manufacturers. The advocacy to the elected officials, to the community leaders. That is an intangible that the MEP offers, and for manufacturers, there is no other organization, especially on a national basis, that gives you that. And you do need it on a national basis. I don't care if you're located, in Mississippi. You do need to be able to have access to technologies, knowledge, information that can help you in Maine, in Texas, in different parts of the country. Because if you know, I realize we're the United States of America. However, we have to act like the United States of America, particularly where manufacturing is concerned, so that we can take advantage of all that is out there, from all the years that of knowledge and experience that we have, so that we can use it to be the number one industrialized country in the world.
So our title today, so we got a little hashtag manufacturing
Yeah.
matters, and of course MEP matters, right? So what would
Right.
you what would we do without the MEP?
Hmm. Well, I can recall when I didn't have the MEP. There were some things out there that I could go to, but nobody really understood, particularly with suppliers.
Yeah.
You know, you're tier four. You're using raw materials and making it, fashioning it to that first um, state that is then used by another supplier. How do you how do you um, how are you able to make sure that you have enough customers? You know, um, because your job is to you know manufacture. Your job is to the production of it. Your job is not to say, oh yeah, I see there's a new company coming in over here and in Montana, and I could possibly work with them. I read an article in the Post. I think it was like the beginning around the middle of April, and as a matter of fact, I wrote an op-ed which they didn't put in, to this article. This company was going to do very, very well with the tariffs because they were able to find suppliers across the country in order to help them. But guess what? It took them 7 years to find.
Yeah.
7 years. Okay. Luckily, they had been thinking, that they needed to branch out, um, and find U.S. suppliers just in case there would be a situation with lack of suppliers outside of the country. They were thinking of this during COVID, and so they got these suppliers together. But a couple of things happened. It took them a long, long time, and this was the only U.S. supplier they were able to find, and the pricing was a little higher, and took them out of their their profit margin a little. Again, this is where, without the MEP, this is what manufacturers have to do. They stumble upon the answers. If they're lucky, they have a friend of a friend of a friend that knows this and that and can help them with all that. But you don't have to do that with the MEP. You can ask one person, and they will scour the country for those suppliers. And if there isn't a supplier here in the US, and I have done this, I've actually seen it.
Mhm.
I know NIST was standing up a net zero home. They were building a net zero home on the NIST campus, and they were looking for things because this was with the Recovery Act money that had been from the Obama administration, and it had to be made in the U.S. It had to be done in the U.S. And they were looking for a hybrid water heater that could do both electric and gas. And so they needed that could switch over wherever in the same unit. Okay. This was not made in the US. It was not made. Nobody could find it except for me. Yes, I worked with the MEP in Connecticut, and they were able to find a very small company that was starting to do this because they could see where this was going to be something that's needed. GE found out about that, and guess what? GE then took one of their plants from overseas and built a plant in the US that could do it because they were, a tiny company beat them in competition here in the US.
Mhm.
And that product was bought for that net zero house, and it's still in the NIST net zero house, from there. So this is the world without MEP.
Mhm.
It is a world where you're blind. You have no one that's advocating for you, looking out for you, helping you with what the future is, navigating these regulations, particularly in food safety and a bunch of different things that you have to do that you may not even know that they were coming down the pike. And here this person from MEP or these people from MEP known this, and one, they could advocate, like, maybe we don't need this regulation, or two, if we do, how do we mitigate the risk and everything that's involved in it? This is what you get with the manufacturer. And I believe it's this year or next year, they'll be celebrating, 35 years of doing this. There is no other organization that knows manufacturing in this country like the MEP program, period. Period. Okay. This is it. And if you're going to have policies that change with, and they can, that's what life happens. A, advancement comes. B, policies change. C, regulations come and go, and this and this. You need to have an organization with people who really care, who understand, that can fight for you and can help you in doing this. You can't go. I mean, there are SPDCs that are SPTDCs, technology development centers, that have information. They're not focused on manufacturing, and there's so many different sectors in manufacturing with so many different ways of production that, okay, MEP is a general, they have general knowledge, but they have enough people and enough context out there in various manufacturing ecosystems across the country that they can help you.
Yeah. I was on a call this week where there was a young woman. She was a West Coast manufacturer. She was trying to get her business started up, and she was evaluating a piece of equipment. It was like $100,000 piece of equipment. And she reached out to her MEP. She's like, do you know anything about this equipment? Da, da, da. The woman at that MEP, the director, said, I don't know anything, but I have a guy, and he's at the New Jersey MEP who's an expert on this. Let me reach out and let me have you have a conversation. This person across country on the East Coast helped this person on the West Coast. He gave her multiple different options. What she was about to spend for a $100,000 piece of equipment, she ended up spending 30, and it saved her $70,000. And she has a testimonial where, like, the MEP helped me start my business debt free. I saved $70,000. I could put those funds elsewhere in marketing, so other things to help elevate. So, I mean, I love what you're saying, Carol. All sorts of tons of incredible stories here.
And I want to, because I am looking at the comments too. I want to say, all right, no, it is not a panacea. Nothing is, okay.
Yeah.
You can go into a situation and it not be ideal for you. But as opposed to not going into a situation at all, and perhaps you need to talk to somebody else, and you can say, hey, look, you know what? You didn't really help me. Is there somebody else there that can help me? Say it. Yeah. Don't sit back and say, well, it didn't really work out.
That's right. Now, when you said everything's not a panacea, please don't talk to my wife, because I've got her fooled. But
oh, jeez,
I'm just kidding. So, all right. Well, I know, Carol, we could keep you here all day. We just want you back over and over. You are on multiple boards, so you're doing all sorts of exciting things. Anything that you want to share, like what's the latest, greatest going on in your life right now?
Well, I am actually on two boards that I like to talk about. One is a think tank, which, for me, I'm not an esoteric person. I'm like a real...
I wasn't invited to that. Were you invited to the...
No.
We were left out of that party, right?
I got the big black line when they saw my name on the list. That's what happened there.
The ITIF, which is the Information Technology Innovation Foundation, is a think tank, is bipartisan, and it is it's been out there I think since like 2004, 2005, something like that, and they help with policy making in the technology area. This is a great organization. If when you have time to sort of peek your head up, if you're a manufacturer, and see what's happening in the real world. One of the things that just came out from them that I did want to talk about is something called the State Hamilton Index, and it talks about how most states are underperforming in advanced industries. It has listed all 50 states. I mean, it literally just came out. When did it come out? About 3 or 4 days ago. And Megan Ostertag actually uh, put together the report. It has each state in there. Uh, I would say if you want to just learn a little bit about what's going on in your state in terms of advanced manufacturing, take a look at this report. It has in there that most of the states are below what you say they're not performing in the advanced manufacturing, and there are states that are a few that are performing. But what this report does, and again, only if you have time. It's not the kind of thing I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait. No, I'd rather go to a plant. Okay, I'm not into reading policy. However, I like to know that this kind of thing is out there so that I know it's helping the people who do write the policies. Hopefully, they do look at this and they see what could be of interest, and what kinds of things can you take this regulation off of us, can you help us with this, what's needed. They talk about that there are certain things that are needed, like assistance for the smaller manufacturers.
Mhm.
They stay nonpartisan, and so they don't specifically say, okay, yeah, we need to have the MEP. However, they talk about all the things that the MEP does and that it is needed. So this is one of the boards that I sit on. And again, this is just like my office, at NIST. I'm like, wow, why did they have me on this one? Because I am not that kind of person. I bring reality to the pie in the sky stuff. The other one is, and I hope everybody's heard of the Manufacturing USA Institutes. This is a group of, I think, about 16 that some are funded by DOE, some are funded by DOD, and a couple are funded by NIST. In fact, there's a brand new one. I know everybody's heard of CHIPS, or the what's happening in the semiconductor industry. This is the newest, latest, that is looking at all the things that need to happen to bring the semiconductor industry back to the US. And I'm particularly excited about this one because they understand that the reason why the US is not as um, you know, leading edge in this area is not only because the big manufacturers have allowed it to go overseas, but it's because they don't have the ecosystem with the smaller manufacturers. So if you are a small manufacturer that's anything that is tangentially connected to the semiconductor industry, packaging, processing, or anything like that, this is a good institute to just keep your eye on and see what kinds of things they're doing. I know that they're going to be working with the MEPs. They've already reached out to several of them and have agreements with them to help with the workforce, the semiconductor industry workforce. And so uh, this is, one of the institutes that are out there. But the institute that I sit on the board is, again, I'm a really pragmatic person, is MXD, Manufacturing Times Digital. It is, if you are in manufacturing today, you have to have at least basic production, or your operation digitalized. And that means, somehow you can look at your production, see where there are areas for improvement in efficiency and productivity, ways so that you can be a part of a supply chain that is digitalized. They work with very small people. They have a wonderful thing called a sensor kit that is available to smaller manufacturers so that they can just do a little demonstration on their own of their production processes to see how sensors could help them improve their efficiency, and their quality of what they're making. So those are a couple of uh, the boards I'm connected with. But I'm like the old geezer that they put out, to pasture, who, yeah, I look at policy. Yeah, I look at, different projects and stuff, but I'm mostly interested in what's happening in those plants and what's happening with the business owners.
Yeah.
It's our religion, right? It's
Yeah.
our religion.
Yes.
So
Yes,
Mhm,
it is.
mhm.
wow. Well, tons and tons. Damon, thoughts? Again, it's a religious experience when Carroll comes on the show.
It really is.
What are your thoughts?
It really is, and just so great to hear you. Your again, the background. There's always new snippets that come out of your background are so great to listen to and learn from, and watching how you're part of these long-term big industry changing efforts that's gonna, like you said, talked about chips and semiconductor industry in the United States, and then really focusing in and helping the small manufacturers continue to get the help they need, and the specialized manufacturers, because you saw a lot of that as you traveled around with your QVC days and then your MEP days.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
it's so cool.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm. And thank you. This doing this is cathartic for me, so I can hopefully talk, and thank you for the folks who listen in. Hopefully, I wouldn't say reach out to me, but I would say don't give up, and I would say there's help out there. There's people you need to talk to. If you don't have a great experience, well, it's on you to make sure you have a great experience. That's what I say. Like, okay, you're not going to help me. I will find somebody that will help me. I am your worst customer because you will help me.
That's
Yeah.
right. Be the squeaky wheel. That's our advice today, right,
Yep.
Carol? Is
Yep.
is that our takeaway? Be
Yep.
that squeaky wheel. So
Be that squeaky wheel. Mhm.
Carol, we wish you massive monster success. I know you have
Thank
all
you.
sorts of exciting things going on, and you're going to be coming back hopefully at the end of summer, maybe early fall, to share some more exciting news with us. Is that correct? My
Yes.
okay.
That'll be
Yes.
great.
Yes.
That'll be
Yes.
great.
Well, I
Absolutely.
can't wait. And
Absolutely.
you and I, we're going to have to do a couple museums together this summer.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We'll
Yes.
figure out our travel plans. We'll get that
Yes.
put to rest. So, Damon,
That's
why
right.
don't we wind down? It's a wonderful. Can you guys believe it's the last Friday in May? Wasn't it New Year's like just a week ago? I thought 2025 just started, didn't it?
Yes. Yes, it was.
It's like it's June 1st this weekend. So,
Yes.
all right, I just want to thank everybody that dropped a comment. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. I want to hey, Damon, how about a big round of applause for our dear friend Carroll Thomas? Man, she just keeps coming back to hang out with us. It just makes
Awesome.
our
Awesome.
moment.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, guys.
thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you. And again, man, go back and listen to anything that Carol just shared if you miss anything, because she is just such an inspiration. And if you can go out and be half as inspiring as Carol is, we will all make the world a better place. Damon, why don't you close us out? Carol, hang out with us for 1 second, and we'll catch you guys next time.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. We had Joe and Ashif, Sarthak, Matt. We had Tracy. I see we got a bunch of other people that are on different platforms watching us too. Thanks so much for being here. And as Kurt said, if you got in late to hear Carol talk about the MEP, her experience in manufacturing and seeing all those great U.S. manufacturers, go back to the beginning, start over, and listen to the whole thing through. We will be back again next week, and have a great weekend, everyone.